Today's project is this 10,000 watt generator. It's ready with a Honda 20 horsepower motor on it. I haven't heard it run yet. It doesn't have a battery. The owner put some gas into it and tried to start it without success. I had to put wheels and an axle on it in order to move it because it's so heavy and the old was all rotted out. Hopefully we'll be able to hear this thing run today. I don't think it's that bad off. It just hasn't been used in quite a while. We'll run through everything and hopefully hear it run for the first time today. With all that, let's get into it and try to get this thing going. First thing that I need to do is get this battery situated so we can check the starter. This is the old bracket. Obviously can't use it anymore. I have a strap from a jet ski motor that I'm hopefully going to use. I have my two little clips here that I cut off. Now I'm just going to install them with a bolt and a washer and a nut. Clips are installed. I'm going to go ahead and put one end of the rubber here. There we go. It's nice and secure now. We'll go ahead and hook up the leads. Okay, battery's on, so almost time to hit the starter. Before I hit the starter, I'm going to check and make sure it has oil, and then I'm going to check each spark plug, make sure it looks okay, and check that it has spark. So, first, it's got a little bit of oil in it, not a whole lot. I might throw a little bit in there. Now we'll go ahead. Cap seems kind of loose. Here's the spark plug. First impression is looks pretty old, but doesn't look too bad. I'm gonna put it back in for now, and we'll check spark here. Check spark. I have my spark tester in here, hooked up to the coil. I'm gonna hook this up to the spark plug, even though you don't need to. So we do have good spark on this side. Now we'll move on to the other side. Now I'm going to check spark on the fuel pump oil filter side. Guessing it's going to have spark. I'm going to check the spark plug first just to make sure it's not like white. Okay. Again, it looks maybe a little bit lighter than the other side, but nothing to be concerned about, I don't think. It's not all rusty, so we'll go ahead and put it back in. Okay, hit it on this side. Well, you guys will be able to see. Alright, we have good spark on both sides. Last thing that I'm going to do before I try to start this is check the air filter and just make sure there's no rat's nests or anything in here. Doesn't look too bad. Down here looks questionable, so I'll clean this up. I'll go ahead and take these air filters out, or go ahead and blow these out as well. Everything seems okay, so I think we'll try to crank her up a few times and see what happens. Alright, I'm going to try the first start. I'm going to give it some choke, and we'll see what happens. not even trying to start, so I'll have to think about this and come back with a plan. I'm guessing it's probably the carburetor. Before I start tearing this thing all apart, I'm going to try to check and make sure it is the carburetor that's gunked up. So I have a little bit of fuel here. I took both spark plugs out, and I'm just going to dump a little fuel down each spark plug hole, and then we'll try to start it. Not much, just a splash. Okay, firing. Heard a little something there. We might try it one more time and then we'll see. I'm pretty sure it's the carburetor now. Poured a little more gas down the cylinders. We'll try it again. Okay, so pouring gas down the cylinders obviously gets it to pop over. That would lead me to believe that it's definitely getting a fuel issue from the carburetor, so we'll go down that route. To get to the carb, the first thing I'm going to do is go back and take the air box off. Once I have the air box off, I'm going to try to take this front shroud off. There's 10mm bolt here. And the 10mm bolt over here. And I think this whole front shroud comes right off. Now we'll go after the intake boot here. See, there's one Phillips head clamp here, and then one on the front side here. I take this off. Just like that. Oh yeah, it definitely looks very sticky in there. Now I'm gonna get this bottom of the air box out of the way. It looks like there's just 4 10mm bolts all the way around. We've exposed the top of the carburetor. I've been looking at this carburetor for a little bit here. Just a couple things before we get started. I noticed this line is missing. I'm not sure what it is. It might just be a drain line from looking at it, but that's definitely something we'll have to address. I also noticed this spring tension is pretty much maxed out here. It's supposed to work against this solenoid with this one here. But yeah, it's really stretched out here, and it's on the farthest post. Yeah, so I don't know what's up with that. Definitely something to look at. To get into it here, we'll have to disconnect some of these linkages. It looks like the choke is not connected with a linkage. So we'll just get the fuel line, we'll get this breather hose, and we'll get this linkage out. So first, you just want to pop this little plastic tab over here. Then we can lift this straight up. And then this one, just gonna pull out of here, just like that. So now we have both of these linkages disconnected. This breather hose, we'll see how easy that is to get off. Okay. And then just have the fuel line here. Doesn't even look like that's on very good. Might have to get a screwdriver here. Push on it a little bit. Fuel line is off. Oh, we're getting fuel. Alright, I got the fuel line off and capped. Go ahead and take these main carb bolts out. See what we got going on here. Looks like this bolt's got the adapter with it. That holds the fuel line. The only thing holding the carb on now is the solenoid. I think this is like the main jet solenoid. It lets a lot of fuel in, so this could also be the problem. Yeah, we'll get this taken off of here and see what's going on. Yeah, that looks like could be problematic here. Yeah, we'll get this put on the bench and see how it looks. We're gonna go ahead and jump into this carburetor here. I'm just gonna take the float bowl off and see what we can see and maybe deduce what's going on here, see how nasty it is. So we'll see how good these screws come off. Got all the screws out without stripping them, so that's a good sign. Let me get something to knock this bowl off with. Okay, I tapped it loose here. Doesn't want to come apart. Okay, I've been messing with this thing for probably longer than I should have, and finally got it apart. So first look at it. Yeah, I would say it does not look too good. Hopefully we can just throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner though and make it good as new. So I'll come back when I have that set up. I have my ultrasonic cleaner heating up here. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on pretty soon. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the bowl in, and this I'm gonna stick in just like it is. I'm gonna try to leave the gasket out as much as possible. I think it'll be okay, but I'll just leave it like that. It doesn't sound very good, so I'm not gonna show very much of it. Started cleaning this thing up. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take this front cover off though, just so I make sure I know what I'm doing here. Again, these should just all be like 10 mils. These are nuts on some of these. It's missing one right here. That's exactly why you do that kind of stuff, because look at all that. I think this is all corroded and the solenoid is not working. When you turn the key on, it should be going in and out when it gets power. I'm going to go ahead and put some 3-in-1 oil on this and just let it sit for a little while and then work it back and forth and see if I can't get it to break free. Okay, I've been putting 3-in-1 oil in here, basically pulling it out, jamming some 3-in-1 oil in here, taking my pliers, just like this, working it in and out, trying to get the grime out. So this thing is obviously working now. Once the carburetor's done, we'll put it all back together and see what we got. The ultrasonic cleaner's been going for a little while now. It's probably gonna need a little more time, but I figured I would start and look at everything now. This is actually turning out real nice. Might not even need to go back. This carburetor is looking pretty good as well. We'll go ahead and break it down a little more here. The first thing I'm gonna do is just take this little float needle out if I can. Okay, definitely found our next problem. It looks like the needle is stuck here. So let me work on this and get back to you. Nothing else is holding it, but the needle is stuck. I don't want to damage it too much, so I'm gonna put a little 3-in-1 oil in there as well, and hopefully that will unseize it so I can pull it out without damaging it. So I'll let that sit for a little while. I might try and go ahead and take this jet off if it will. I took some pliers and I got this main jet loose, so go ahead and take this out of here, see how bad it is. Not too bad. Once we get this needle out of here, we'll throw it back in the ultrasonic cleaner. So I have the float off, and my needle is still stuck. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it back in the ultrasonic cleaner with the needle in it in hopes that maybe we'll be able to break it free. Also, I have a little cup here. I'm gonna put the jet back in it. And I'll throw this back in just for fun. And we'll be back in a little while. Got my main jet out of the ultrasonic cleaner. It's looking good. Just wanted to show you guys what I meant by the braided copper. I have a few strands here. Basically, I can work it in and out over this and make sure that jet is super clean. So this is ready. Had it in the ultrasonic cleaner for a while and it's not really changing. So going to the good old WD-40. I'm just gonna keep coating it in this and both sides, and hopefully we'll get it to break free. I've been working at this groove with this tiny screwdriver here, and I finally saw some movement. So we might have it here. Yes. Oh, look at that. That thing is nasty. Let me see if I can get you a better. That thing is rough looking. The seat is pretty rough looking as well. So now we'll put it back in the ultrasonic cleaner one last time, hopefully, and be done with this carburetor and put it back together. I finally got everything out of the ultrasonic cleaner. The seat and the needle took a while, but we got them clean. Now the needle is sliding in and out very easily. So that should be good to go. Now that's all that's left to do is put everything together and see how she runs. So first thing that I'm going to do is put the needle and the float on, if I can. Just like that. Lower this down. Send this through. Okay, this seems to be working just fine now. And the needle is, needle's working good. Now we'll put our jet back in. Blew this out with compressed air as well as the copper wire. Okay, that's back on. Now that all that's left to do is put the bowl back on. Before I put this bowl on, I'm just gonna coat this O-ring real nicely so it should go on. And you can see this flat part here will line up here. You just make sure your bar is together. Just like that. Carb's all back together now. We just have the intake boot here. And that's it. So now we're ready to throw it back on the generator. First thing that I'm going to do is hook up this solenoid. I know that it's going to go like this. When we turn the machine around, you're going to want the wiring just like that. So next thing I'm going to do is hook up the hoses. So the first one that I'm going to hook up is this drain hose right here. Just goes right to the bottom. Slide this clip on. Okay. Might have to feed it back down through a little bit. Then the next one is your fuel hose. Still leaking fuel. Fuel line is on. Let me clean this little bit of a mess up again. We can go ahead and start putting this thing together. So I'm going to get it into place here. We'll run one bolt through here. Tighten it up. Snug it up. This other one here. This one also holds your fuel filter on. This breather hose here. Go ahead and do this linkage over here. So final will look like that. Clip on, spring beside it. Final thing I'm going to do before I see if it starts is just put this intake boot on here. Tighten this down and we'll be ready to see if she runs. Okay, we'll try to fire her up here with the carb cleaned now. Chokes on. This thing started up great. It was obviously the carb. It's still having some idling issues going in and out. I don't know. I don't think it's anything major, but we'll take a look at it and get back to you. Okay, pretty much just as I thought. I've been messing around with this thing, and this spring is under way too much tension. That's what's it's driving this and making it wane in and out really hard. So I don't think this is supposed to be in this location. I'm going to move it to one of these others and see what it does. I think that's going to change a lot of stuff though. So we'll see. We'll try that in this position in here and see what that does. Spring's been changed. We'll see what it runs like now. I'm pretty happy with that. I don't know why that spring was messed up. Seems to be running a lot better now. I guess we'll have to make some pulls off the generator side to make sure everything's working, but seems like we have most of the issues figured out now. I have a practical test here. I'm gonna use my chop saw here, start the generator and cut a few and make sure that it's got power and that it's cycling up and down properly. So let's get her started here. This generator seems to be running like it should, so we'll get it all put back together now. One last thing I did here is just put a short piece of hose on, hopefully to keep any kind of debris out. There's nothing on there before. It doesn't seem to change with how you run it, but yeah, I'm gonna put one on there. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this front shroud back on now. Front cover is on. Now I'm gonna install the air filter housing base. I think that's what it would be called. Just make sure you get your boot on. And this should fall in. Make sure you're not hitting any of your springs. There's 4 bolts all around here. Need to tighten this out of the intake boot real quick. Only thing left now is just this front cover. Just gonna slap this on real quick. Okay, she's all put back together now. Alright, we'll start this thing up one more time just to make sure nothing's wrong with it, but I think we're pretty much good to go on this. Give it a little choke. I'll call this generator back in commission. That's pretty much going to do it for today's video. We got this generator back in action. All you really had to do was clean the card. The needle was stuck. That solenoid was bad. So just a little bit of ultrasonic cleaner and cleaning up stuff, and we got her back running good as new. Hope you guys are enjoying these videos. I really like making this old stuff run again. It's a lot of fun. It's very satisfying. Yeah, so we'll see you next time.